Hey everyone, welcome to the React series. In this video, I'll be giving you an introduction to React, and we will see why React is so popular and why it's a great choice for your next front-end application, especially if you're building a single page application. So let's get started. So what exactly is React? React is a JavaScript library which is used to build user interfaces, or UI in short. UI refers to the front end that your users interact with. So this includes things like your websites, your web apps, and things like dashboards. It's a common mistake to say React is a framework. A framework is usually more opinionated and usually also controls the flow of the application. For example, a framework will also influence the way you structure your code and even interactions between your individual services. But React is simply a library which we can use to build the UI portion. So it's just focused on the front-end layer alone. There definitely exists a lot of frameworks which are built on top of React. For example, I use Next.js, which is an excellent and popular framework that is based on React. But React here, we are actually referring to the JavaScript library that is used to create UIs. React is special because it allows us to create something called a single page application, or SPA in short. This actually means that our entire front end is being compiled into a single index.html document. So let's take an example where a user is actually browsing to a website built on top of React. So let's say that website is called reactapp.xyz. So when the browser fetches the content to be displayed from the server, all it gets is a single file which is called index.html. All of our front-end logic and what the browser needs to display is all bundled into this one single file. So let's say if our user actually clicks on a contact page link or an about page link, our app actually updates the view all on the client side. So no additional calls to the server is made. And this way of actually building applications and actually rendering the applications is called client-side rendering. So in contrast, if we take a look at traditional applications which are server rendered, that means for each page that we request, like an about page or a contact us page, the browser will need to make additional calls to the server to fetch the relevant content to display. So in the case of React, our code is written in JavaScript, and here JavaScript takes care of all the various user interactions. From navigation to dynamic UI updates, everything is handled by the front-end logic that we write in JavaScript. For one, because of this, our end users actually get to enjoy reduced wait times because no additional server calls are made. All the logic, everything is bundled into the front-end logic itself, and everything is contained within this index.html file. Hence, we see improved performance and there's reduced latency as well. So what does React offer? So React undertakes a declarative approach in building UIs. This means that I simply declare what I need to be done instead of how it needs to be done. So React is declarative and it takes all of our JavaScript code and performs the internal logic on the DOM, which is the document object model, to help us achieve our end results. So React is also component based. So through this, we can actually build reusable UI components. So we will get into this deeper later on, but to give you a quick overview. So for example, if there's a button which I use on a lot of pages or sections, what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare this button as a component, and I'm going to just simply import this into the section I want to display it. On React's website, we also see that they mention learn once, write anywhere. So if you take a look, it says that being a UI library, React does not assume or dictate anything about how your application stack or the technologies should be. This means that we can actually integrate React into almost any technology stack. So be it in Node.js, Java, Spring Apps, or even like Python-based frameworks like Flask, that totally doesn't matter because React only focuses on the UI layer. Now, to describe more on how React uses components, I will briefly describe how we can think about the sites or the apps we build in a very component-based way. So let's take this exact screen for example. So here, the official React website can actually be further divided into small components. For example, at the top, we have the header with the various links to different pages. Then we have a hero section here, which is in the middle, and it contains two buttons. So these two buttons can be two individual components. In the middle, we have the features of React as a section component, but we can also further divide this section into three individual components. Actually, if you see, the three components all have a title field and a body of text, and this is actually pretty much the same in the three components. Using this similarity, what we can do in React is to actually make this as a reusable component. For example, if this is a feature component, I'm going to take the title and the body of text as a parameter. This component will actually render that. In the bottom, we again have a side section here and another component, which is the editor. So again, this is a simple example of how we can think about building our apps in a component-based approach. We break it down into simpler components which we can reuse and compose our entire app on top of this. So before we start working on real code, there are some prerequisites for the tutorials and the videos that come up next. Firstly, the knowledge of JavaScript is assumed, as pretty much we are going to be writing everything in JavaScript. We need Node.js and Node Package Manager, which is NPM, to be installed as well. And I strongly suggest using Visual Studio Code, or VS Code in short, for programming, though we can also use other popular editors like Sublime Text. I also prefer using Chrome as my browser of choice, as it has some really useful plugins to test our React apps in the coming tutorials. I also prefer using Chrome as my default browser of choice, as it has some really good plugins to test our React apps. Hope you guys enjoyed my video, and be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more upcoming content. Catch you guys in the next video.